Hello, friends. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to the Divine Feminine Empowerment vlog. I believe this is vlog number 6 or 7. I'm not really sure. I started in 2023 or perhaps at the end of 2022 doing the Empowered Divine Feminine vlog, and then I stopped. I went back to the Twin Flame vlog. Now we're back. We're back with the Empowered Divine Feminine vlog. And look, I have my book, The Empowered Divine Feminine, Becoming an Unstoppable Woman in the 21st Century. And today I'm here to talk to you about dealing with the Great Divide. And you might be wondering, what in the world is the Great Divide? What does that mean? Well, if you're interested, do stay tuned. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. All right, guys, we are going to get started with this vlog. I've got my Grogu tumbler here. I've got Grogu, my Padawan. I have my caramel nut dandelion caramel nut tea by Ticino. Oh, this is so good. I am getting over a cold. I still have a cold, in fact. It was crazy. I had a party, and Happy New Year, by the way. Happy New Year 2024. Happy New Year to you. I hope 2024 is totally amazing, transformative, filled with love and growth for you. On the 30th, December 30th, we're just gonna get comfy here. I'm just folding my legs. On the 30th, December 30th, I had a party at my place, and this is the first time I've had a party. This is my new house here in Huntington Beach, California. So I had a party here, had a bunch of friends, and on the 31st, I woke up very sick with what seems to be a cold. I'm recording this on Thursday, January 4th, and it does appear that this cold is taking its time. So I may have to stop the video, pause the video. You may see some cuts because I may have to go blow my nose. That's how bad this cold is. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you for being with me throughout and again at the start of 2024. The Great Divide. What in the world am I talking to you about, the Great Divide? Back in January of 2020, I had channeled a message from angelic guidance, right? It wasn't like from people that have crossed over. This is just more like listening to the angels, listening to angelic guidance. And I received a message about the Great Divide. Now, I was under the impression that it had to do with twin flames, and for some part it had to do with twin flames, but now I can more fully grasp what the Great Divide meant. I didn't really know then in 2020. It was very hard to decipher. Of course, a lot of things happened in March of 2020. So then now as I have been meditating, now as I've been going deep and deeper into my spiritual practices. And really that is my intention for 2024. And in fact, I am already working on my new book. I'm already working on my new book, guys. And that requires me to go much deeper into my spiritual practices as a result of writing this book. And I really got the hit that we are in the season, because everything is a season, we are in the season of the Great Divide. And what that means is, if you haven't yet noticed, people are very divided. People are very polarized in societies, in friendships, on social media, in families. There are many divisions that are feeling even more divided than ever before. And I believe this division is only going to increase. Now, there is a higher spiritual reason for this. And the higher spiritual reason for this is that oneness is the opposite of division, right? The opposite of division or duality is oneness. And you can't truly get to oneness until everything has been divided. And I feel that the division, the polarities between people on the planet is happening like a game of tug of war, a game in which you have a rope and you have two sides, and both sides are pulling the rope and they are trying to win. And it's only by exhausting these energies that people may awaken to another way of being, another way of thinking. And people will get sucked into this game of the Great Divide. People will get really siphoned into it like there is no tomorrow, even if you are an independent thinker, even if you have studied spiritual concepts. The pull into the Great Divide is going to be very strong. And in my book, this book, The Empowered Divine Feminine, I explain the reasons why that pull is really strong. One of the reasons the pull is strong is because we have this inherent human need to be accepted into our tribe, to be accepted into our families, community, friendships, workplace relationships. And so we feel this great pull to be accepted. We're social creatures. We're social beings after all. And that is all good. It's good to be a social being. It's good to be a social creature, because that is our inherent nature as a human being, is to want to be in relationship. It's our inherent nature as a human being to want to be in friendships and to want to be accepted in the group, to want to be accepted in the tribe. That is normal behavior. Just know that. That is not abnormal. It's absolutely normal to want to be loved and accepted. And when you are questioning the tribe that you're in, when you're questioning the beliefs of the tribe, when you're questioning whether or not to take sides in the Great Divide, no matter what those issues are, it can be very difficult to go against your tribe. It can be difficult to go against your friendships. It can be difficult to take sides or to take the opposite side, or to say that you don't want to take sides. And so the pull to be a part of one of the polarities of the Great Divide is going to be stronger and stronger and stronger as we head forward into 2024 and moving forward. There are many astrological reasons for this. The planet Pluto, the planet of soul growth and transformation, is headed into Aquarius, which is about the people. And it will be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. And there are many changes on social levels that will happen. There are many changes on scientific and innovation levels that will happen. Notably things like AI, artificial intelligence, robots, making decisions, taking over jobs, and things like that. But it is going to lead to changes in politics and leaderships and policies and belief systems. And it's more important than ever that you, as a spiritual person, a spiritual seeker, that you turn to your spiritual higher self practices in order to confirm and reconfirm who you are, so that your definition of yourself is not defined by your group. by your peer group, your work group, your friendship group, your family group, your societal group, your city group, whatever it happens to be. And again, this is going to be difficult for you. And for me, right? It's going to be difficult all around because it's difficult to be an outlier. It's difficult to think for oneself and not follow the tribe, not follow the trends on social media. Now, that being said, we as a human population have always more or less followed the tribe. And for the aforementioned reasons that we need each other, we need people, we need acceptance. The human brain does not like being outside of the tribe because in ancient history, being outside of the tribe meant a certain death. If you were ousted from the protection of your tribe, it meant that you were wandering the wilderness all alone and you had no one to protect you. So traditionally, the human brain was hardwired to believe that I need my tribe to survive. Being swayed by tribal thinking, being swayed by collective consciousness thinking is as old as humanity itself, right? It's as old as humanity itself. There's a series of books called The Series of Unfortunate Events that was written, I want to say, back in the early 2000s. And it became a movie. And it's about an orphaned family of children, and they go through a series of unfortunate events. But in one of the books, and I can't quite remember, I read this with my eldest child. In one of the books, there was something published in the paper by the villain in the story that the orphans killed somebody. And it was propaganda, if you will, to try to get people, the tribe, to then kill them. And people who had never heard of this set of children believed it because it was published in the newspaper. And then it began this game of telephone that circulated the tribe or the city or the village. And the story then became worse and worse and worse and worse, as if these children were then cold-hearted murderers, that it started with a newspaper article. And so this has existed since the dawn of time, but unfortunately now, with the rapidness of information on the internet and on social media, people are inclined to believe anything. And it is very, very hard to decipher truth from fiction. And there is an astrological aspect this year that is going to make that deciphering of fact versus fiction even more fuzzy, even more difficult to discern. And part of that is the development of AI being able to fabricate stories as if they were real, by placing photos or fabricating photos of events that may not have happened, but AI is so intelligent in the creation of these things that it may look like certain things did in fact happen. And so there will be this fuzziness of fact versus fiction. What is real versus what is imaginary, and it will be very difficult to discern, very difficult to tell. When I say that it will be difficult for you not to take sides in the Great Divide, it's not to question your personal intelligence. It is to say that in today's world, it will be very concerning and more difficult to understand what is real versus what is not real. And you will begin then to question yourself. And so the deeper that you dive into your own spiritual practices, of which I name all of them in most of my material, my written materials, and in many of my videos, tuning within, getting silent, doing meditation, doing some self-work, not necessarily listening to others, right? Heeding good advice, right? Heeding good advice, wisdom and advice, but not necessarily tuning into what others want of you or their opinions about what is right for you. Because only you can know what is right for you. And that takes me to the theme of my YouTube channel for this year. The theme for this year for my YouTube channel is spiritual development. That is the theme for my channel for this year. So anything that sways away from the theme of spiritual development, I'm not going to do. So to that end, you may see some different but related material on my YouTube channel. This is about you looking at you and looking at your higher spiritual self, looking at your higher spiritual practices in order to be able to separate yourself from the polarities of the great divide so that you are not sucked into the narrative of the day-to-day. Because again, the narrative is going to be stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And people around you are going to get angrier at you if you don't want to take sides. People are going to accuse you of things because you don't want to take sides. People will be upset with you if you take one side over the other side. And it's only going to get stronger. So that doesn't mean that you do not have an opinion. That doesn't mean that you don't have morals and values that you wish to uphold. But if you don't know yourself, and if you have been in people-pleasing mode, or you've been in morphing mode, morphing to be perhaps what others expect of you, depending on the relationship, because you don't want to make waves and you don't want to turn over the apple cart and you don't want to express yourself in a way that might ruffle some feathers, it's really important that you understand who you are as a person. And you understand who you are from the higher spiritual aspect of yourself, which really is rooted in love. It's rooted in unconditional love. And the great divide, the great polarities, the great arguments of this upcoming decade will be based on fear. So much of it is based on fear of loss, right? Fear of loss of power. And when you enter into that narrative, there really is no winning because it is one person's fear operating against another person's fear, and fear against fear never wins because there is no truth in fear. There is a lot of imagination in fear, and fear makes you fierce, if you will. It makes you fierce like an animal backed into a corner. I would highly suggest that spiritual development is something that could help you forge your way forward as the world becomes more and more divided. Because truly, it's not about picking the right side, right? It's not about picking the right side. And especially if you live in the United States of America, we have a presidential election at the end of this year. And in our country, it will also create even more division, more despair, division of families, breakups of relationships and families and friendships and business partnerships and business relationships. And if you're uncertain as to whether or not this might hold truth, just sit back and watch the show. Try not to participate in the show on social media or in friendships or in conversations, but just sit back, relax, and watch the show. And you'll begin to see the bigger picture of how the great divide and the greater divisions are mostly, if not all, based on fear. And fear makes people become fierce. And if you are rooted in your higher spiritual truths, you will understand that there is no division as such. There is no divide as such. Everything has a spectrum, many areas of gray, many shades of gray. There is truly no true black or white polarity in human debate, right? There is no black or white morality, for example. We can all agree, for example, that stealing is wrong, but as in the story Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, stealing bread to feed your family when you have no bread, no food, might be okay according to certain moral boundaries. So do you see how even something as stealing has no stark white or black division? There are always shades of gray along the way. In thinking about that this year for 2024, think about what you would like to become in the next few years. Would you like to become a person who is basing their self-worth on fear? Or basing their self-worth on sticking to one side of an issue, one side of a policy, one side of a tribe, if you will? Or would you like to consider yourself as a higher spiritual being based in love, based in unconditional love, and you are having infinite compassion, infinite understanding, infinite empathy, for both sides as these sides of the human spectrum battle it out for the upcoming years. Discernment and understanding is so important for you to know yourself and know who you are as a higher spiritual being as artificial intelligence takes over. And I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but things are happening very fast. And so what does that mean for you? What does that mean for your sense of reality? What does that mean for your sense of self? The more we as human beings are rooted in our internet practices, on our electronic devices, we are beginning to live more and more and more a virtual world, a world that is not based in real earthly reality. If that is the case for you, if you spend more hours online than you do living your life in the real world, and that includes, like, I see, for example, if I'm at a concert or if I'm at a speech, hearing someone speak, for example, like a motivational speaker, and I'm in person at the event, I see more people than not with a phone in front of their face, not watching the event, but recording the event. So even in the live things, they are still viewing life through an electronic device rather than with their own eyeballs. When thinking about your relationship with artificial intelligence, think about your relationship with the virtual world. How many hours do you spend on electronic devices per day versus how many hours do you spend living life without any devices in the real physical world every day? Because for those who are living mostly in the virtual world through their iPhones, their Androids, their iPads, their televisions, their smartphones, their smart televisions, their computers, the internet, the more hours you clock in per day on those devices, the more you will have a vulnerability to get sucked into the virtual world that will be skewed by artificial intelligence, skewing your reality. And then it will be harder and harder and harder for you to discern what is real and what is imaginary. And those with malintent will be able to use that, right? The people with malintent will have the ability to sway those who spend the most time in the virtual realm, right? So think about that for the upcoming year as well. How much time would you like to spend on your devices versus how much time would you like to spend interacting with the actual physical world? Because that is another piece of the Great Divide. The people that are living life in the real world will have one perception of reality versus the people that are spending a majority amount of their waking hours on devices will have another perception of reality. And those perceptions of reality are going to look very different more and more and more and more, right? If they haven't already, but they're going to start to look very different. So I hope I have given you food for thought for the year of 2024. And to that end, I've been studying astrology for the last 2 years as an astrology student. And I'm going to begin now doing natal chart astrology readings. I'm still taking courses in advanced astrology, but since I've been studying for 2 years, I was like, well, why not? Why am I not doing astrology readings? And so if you look on my booking page to book an appointment, you can also book a natal chart appointment doing your astrology chart. So I hope this has all been helpful to you. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with others who could use some spiritual development in their lives. Thank you so much for your support of my YouTube channel. You can buy one of my 11 published books. I have a meditation course online so you can really strengthen your own spiritual practices. And I will see you in the next video.